Welcome to the AI Brief from the YPO Technology Network. I'm Stephen Forte. Something shifted in the build environment over the last 2 weeks, and the news cycle isn't covering it the way it deserves. New models from OpenAI, xAI, and Google all landed inside a 4-day window. GPT 5.5 Instant, Grok 4.3, Gemini 3.1, Flashlight, solid releases, all of them. None of them are the story today. The story today is a role that did not exist on any org chart 18 months ago and is now showing up in 3 out of every 5 companies I sit down with. The people doing this work are inside your firm right now. Some of them work for you. Some of them are your kids. None of them have a title for it yet. So today is a working session, not a news rundown. By the end of this episode, you will have 3 things: a clear definition of the new role, what some are calling the AI Artisan, a working theory of what they build, or a constellation of small apps instead of one big platform, and a practical 2-system method you can hand to one of your people on Thursday so a working prototype lands by next Friday. 3 parts: the artisan, the constellation, the workshop. Here's my read up front. The next decade of enterprise software is not going to be won by buying a better suite. It is going to be won by the companies that grow people inside their walls who can shape AI like a craftsman shapes wood. Not engineers, not consultants, artisans. If that sounds soft, give me 10 minutes. I will make it concrete with names, tools, and a method. Let me start with the role. The phrase coming out of the builder community for this is vibe coding. I am not in love with the term, and I doubt your board is either, but the practitioners use it. So let me translate. Vibe coding does not mean coding badly. It means treating AI as a malleable medium, something you steer, shape, and reshape until the output has the right feel, rather than as a static tool you type instructions into. The person who is good at this is not necessarily a software engineer. Often they are not. The clean name for that person is the AI Artisan. I'm going to use that one for the rest of the episode. The AI Artisan sits in a space that did not exist before. It is between product management, user experience design, and engineering. They are not building the model. They are not writing the production code. They are deciding what the system should do, how it should feel, and where it connects. 4 responsibilities. I will name each. First, they design the prompt and flow structures, the way the AI thinks through a problem, not just the words you type at it, but the chain of moves it makes from question to answer. Second, they orchestrate the tools, connecting a model to your CRM, your database, your code repository, your file store, the plumbing that turns a chatbot into something that can do work. Third, they build the evaluations and the guardrails, test harnesses that catch when the AI is wrong, drifting, or about to do something the company would regret on the front page of the journal. Fourth, they translate domain expertise into agent specs. Your sales operations leader knows how a deal moves through your funnel. The artisan turns that knowledge into something a model can act on without supervision. Read that list again in your head. Notice what is not on it. Writing production-grade software in a compiled language, managing a deployment pipeline, standing up Kubernetes clusters, none of that. The artisan needs taste, patience, and the steadiness to shape an output until it is right. Closer to a senior product designer or a sharp operations manager than to anyone with engineer on their badge. And here is the part that is easy to miss. The best artisans are not generalists who learned AI. They are deep domain experts who happen to be good at steering a model. They have lived inside the problem they are solving for years. They know the edge cases, the inputs that look normal and quietly break everything downstream. They have met the customer in Phoenix who never invoices the same way twice, and the warehouse in Newark where the system is technically correct and operationally useless. They can tell you which inefficiencies are real and which ones are just somebody's pet peeve. That depth is what lets them walk a model through the problem the way they would walk a new hire through it. Every exception, every workaround, every reason the work does not look the way the org chart says it should. The AI is good at execution once the problem is described well. The artisan is the one who can actually describe it, and the part that should matter to you most. The artisans inside your company already exist. They are the people sending you Loom videos of workflows they built over the weekend. They are the ones who say things like, I rebuilt our weekly report in Claude and it now takes 9 minutes instead of 2 days. You probably forwarded one of those emails to your CIO and asked politely whether anyone should be doing this. The answer is yes, someone should. And the question of who, where they sit, and what they are allowed to touch is one you have to answer this quarter. If I were sitting in your seat, I would do two things this month. First, find your artisans, not by job title, by output. Ask each of your direct reports who on your team has built something with AI in the last 60 days that actually moved a number. The names you get back are the start of your map. Second, do not move them into IT. The reflex will be to centralize them. Resist it. The whole point is that they sit close to the work. An artisan attached to your finance team is worth more than three of them stranded in a center of excellence. Now, the second part, what do these people build? For 30 years, the answer to any enterprise need was the same. Buy a suite. SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, Workday, ServiceNow, one vendor, one contract, one implementation that took 2 years and a steering committee. The theory under the suite was simple. Integration is hard. Better to buy one platform that does 10 things badly than to stitch together 10 tools that each do one thing well. That theory is breaking. And the reason it is breaking is that the integration cost just collapsed. When connecting a system to your data took 6 months of consulting work, it made sense to buy the suite. When connecting that same system takes an artisan and an afternoon because of MCP, the Model Context Protocol, the open standard Anthropic introduced for letting AI systems read your business tools without a custom integration for each one, the math flips. Here is the alternative pattern. It does not have a settled name yet. I have heard it called the Constellation of Apps, the galaxy of scalpels, micro apps. Pick your metaphor. The shape is the same. Instead of one monolithic platform that does invoicing and lead scoring and onboarding and reporting, you have hundreds of small apps. Each one is built for a specific frontline task. Each one is sharp. Two examples, both real, both shipped inside the last quarter at companies I work with. Example 1, an accounts payable micro app. 40-line internal tool sits between the email inbox where vendor invoices arrive and the ERP, reads the invoice, validates the line items against the open purchase order, flags anything anomalous, and either drops the entry into the ERP or kicks it back to a human, replaces 80% of one role's manual work. Took the artisan attached to the finance team 3 weeks. Example 2, a sales manager lead scoring micro app. The sales VP wanted leads scored on a model the off-the-shelf CRM did not support. She would have waited 18 months and paid a 6-figure consulting bill for it. Her artisan built it in 2 weeks, custom scoring logic. Pulls from the CRM, writes back into the CRM. Sales reps see a new column. Both of those would have been $10 million suite line items 5 years ago. Today, they are weekend projects with the right person. Notice what just happened. The front line defined the problem and designed the workflow. The artisan shipped the app. Nobody waited for a vendor roadmap. Nobody filed a request with central IT and waited for it to clear the backlog. So where does that leave the IT organization? Real question, not rhetorical. Here is the division of labor I would put on the whiteboard tomorrow. The front line owns the problem, the micro app, the workflow. The artisan attached to them owns the build. It owns the rails, security, credentials, data boundaries, compliance. The shared infrastructure every micro app sits on, which systems an app is allowed to touch, which data sets it can see, how it logs what it did. That is the new shape. Frontline builds the scalpels, IT builds the operating table. Get those two halves wrong in either direction, and you have a problem. If IT tries to own the build side, nothing ships. If the frontline tries to own the rails, you have a security incident inside 90 days. All right, 2 parts down. The role, the shape of what they build. The third part is the part you can actually do something with this week, the method. The artisans I know are converging on a build pattern they call two-system architecture. It works for non-engineers. It works for engineers. And it makes the build cycle so short that a working prototype is days, not quarters. System 1 is the thinking environment, the exploration layer. This is where you figure out what you are building, who it is for, what the screens look like, what the flow is, and what the model needs to do at each step. The tool we use here across this audience is Perplexity Computer, the agentic AI environment. The artisan sits with Perplexity and walks it through the problem the way they would walk a sharp new hire through it. They describe the domain, they answer its questions, they correct its assumptions, they refine, and this is the part people miss. Perplexity is not just thinking with you, it is writing the code, real working Python, the connection instructions for your CRM, the credentials wiring, the error handling, the test calls. It produces, by the end of the session, a single markdown file or a small folder of them that contains everything needed to actually build the thing: spec, UI direction, workflow logic, code, and guardrails. The artisan does not type any of this. The artisan describes, Perplexity writes. System 2 is the execution environment, where the code from System 1 actually runs. The tool we use here is Replit, a browser-based coding and deployment platform that handles the servers, the dependencies, and the deployment for you. The artisan opens Replit, pastes in what Perplexity produced, sets the environment variables, and clicks Run. If something breaks, they go back to Perplexity, describe what broke, and come back with the fix. The loop is minutes, not days. The two-system method works because each environment is good at exactly one thing. Perplexity is where the thinking and the writing happen. Replit is where the running happens. Most failed AI projects I have looked at in the last 6 months had one common cause. Somebody tried to do both jobs in one environment, and the seams showed. Separate the two. Let the AI write the code, ship faster. The handoff between them is not a document somebody types by hand. It is an artifact produced by Perplexity, a single markdown file or a folder of them with everything System 2 needs to actually build. 5 things go in it: the product spec, what the app does, who it is for, what success looks like, the UI direction, what the screens look like, what the user sees at each step, what they click, what they read, the workflow map, what triggers the app, what decisions it makes, what the exceptions are, what happens when something goes wrong, the connection instructions and the Python code, which APIs to hit, which credentials to wire in, the actual working code snippets, the environment variables, the test calls, not pseudocode, real code ready to paste, the human-in-the-loop guardrails, where a person has to approve before the system moves forward, which decisions are too important to fully automate. That is the package: spec, UI, workflow, code and connections, guardrails, generated by the thinking system, not typed by a human. It is something Replit can open and start executing against on Monday morning with a working prototype by Friday. It is not 500 slides. It is not a 6-month requirements document. It is the artifact-driven version of product management, where the artifacts are produced by the AI for the AI. The human is in the loop. The human is not the typist. If you've ever wondered what the modern alternative to a Big Four implementation looks like, this is it. Smaller, faster, built by someone in your hallway, not someone on a plane. So, to land all of this, if I were sitting in your seat this week, I would do 3 things. First, take the list of artisans you started earlier and pick one, just one. The person whose name came up twice when you asked around. Second, pair them with one frontline problem, not the biggest one, a specific, small, recurring problem: invoice entry, lead scoring, onboarding emails, customer service triage, something where the people who own it can clearly describe the task and the inputs. Third, give them a week, one artisan, one frontline owner, the 2-system method, a package by Wednesday, a prototype by Friday. If it takes longer than that, you have your answer about whether the problem is well defined enough. The companies that get the next 5 years right will not be the ones that picked the best AI vendor. They will be the ones that grew the most artisans, gave them sharp rails, and trusted the front line to know which scalpel to ship. The suite is not coming back. The constellation is the shape. That is the YPO Tech Network AI brief for Wednesday, May 20th. I am Stephen Forte. If this was useful, send it to a fellow member. I will be back Thursday with more. Until then, stay sharp. Day.